All right, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Antonio Gomez. Happy to be here with you. I will reintroduce myself in a little bit. Let me go ahead and get launched with this with these slides. All right, welcome everybody. This session is called "Too Many Spinning Plates," a Microsoft Planner tutorial. We are going to be reviewing Microsoft Planner. What Microsoft Planner is it's a task manager that comes integrated with Teams. And I'll say this again in a little bit, but there are other task managers. There are other things that you can use besides Planner. You don't necessarily have to do that. And if you're the kind of person who likes investigating the kind of things, it would probably be good for you to look and see if there are other options. But for me, I'm somebody who wants something to be integrated into what I'm already working on and something that is pretty easy to use and doesn't take a lot of fuss because I don't have a lot of time to be investigating that kind of stuff. So if you're like me, this stuff is already integrated into Teams. So I wanted to go ahead and review it for you so you can see all the functions that it has. We'll do a little live tutorial. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. But I'm very, very happy to see all of you here. My name is Antonio Gomez. I work for the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support. We are based out of Illinois State University. I am a workforce development coordinator, and I'm happy to be here today. So again, if you have any questions afterwards that you want to reach out to me, I'll put my information at the end of the slide deck as well. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. There's a lot of stuff that I've just kind of learned by messing around with stuff and watching tutorials. So I've built up a decent amount of skills in this specific platform. So now I'm just really married to it. But before we get started, we're going to get started with a couple of polls to see who everybody is today. So I'm going to get started with the first one, which is, sorry, my cursor isn't working. There we go. All right. Where is everybody from? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. I'll give everybody a couple of seconds to answer it. All right, it looks as though we got most everybody. So I'm going to share our results. It looks like a lot of Northern Illinois today, so happy to be here with you guys. A lot of Chicago, decent amount of Central, some Southern, some statewide. That's pretty good. Let's go to the next poll, which is which title you represent. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. The options are Title One, Adult Dislocated Worker and Youth Programs, Title Two, Adult Education, Family Literacy, Title Three, Wagner Pizer, Employment Services, Title Four, Vocational Rehabilitation, and other WIO partners. So far, I'm seeing a lot of Title One. Happy to see you guys here. Looks like we've got most everybody, so I'm going to end that poll and share the results. A lot of Title One. Happy to see you all here. So I'm going to get these out of the way, and we're going to go back to housekeeping items. So first of all, I will be your moderator and technical support. So I'll be keeping a look at the Q&A. I don't know if you guys have ever used the Q&A function on here, but if it's not at the bottom scroll of your screen, it'll be on the three little dots. So you can put your questions there, and then I will signal if I'm going to answer them live or if I can chat with them. Since I'm presenting, I'm probably going to be answering them live. But I'll try to keep an eye out for that in case anybody has any questions along the way, because I do want this to be as interactive as possible. So I will, I'll stop at certain points to take questions, but especially during the part where we do the tutorial and we actually look at Planner and how I use it and how it's designed to be used. I will pause a lot for questions because I really want to use this as a session for you guys. The slides are pretty minimal. The first part of what I'm going to do is sort of talk at you for a little bit. So you have a bit of, the slides are meant to help you later on if you want to refer back to them. But the great bulk of what we're going to be doing is me actually messing around with stuff. If you have any questions, there are Q&A portions, but you can also just ask them in the Q&A or put them in the chat. And once we get to the question portions, if anybody wants to speak up, I can unmute you and you can talk to all of us. This webinar will be recorded. It'll be available on the Illinois Workforce Academy in a couple of days, and the slide deck will be there as well. We'll also be offering closed captioning with this. So if you want to turn that on and see what I'm saying, you can definitely do that. We already did the poll, so we're going to move on. All right. So what is Microsoft Planner? I know I already said this a little bit, but I'm going to repeat it. It's a task manager. Task managers are devices that we use in order to keep ourselves organized and to keep our teams organized in what we're doing. It's not the only one. Again, if you're somebody who likes to research them and go find something else that works a little bit better for you, that's great. What this is really more meant for is for people who really just want something that is by default installed if you have Microsoft 365 and that is pretty easy to use. So I have done some of the research for you. This is what I'm here to take care of. It comes free with Microsoft Office 365. Obviously, 365 is not free, but it comes in the package. So if you've already bought it, might as well use it. Helps stay organized when you have a lot on your mind. I know that I, like a lot of people, work on quite a few different projects, and all of those are in different stages at different times. And it is very, very difficult for me to keep all of that straight in my head. So it's nice to have somewhere where it can very physically. It looks kind of like a manifestation board. You know, if you've ever like done that kind of stuff with the little pictures and everything. It looks kind of like that. So it's sort of a virtual board where you can put all of the things that you're thinking about at any given moment and not have to keep so much in your head. It's also within your team a shared planner. So you can be working with everybody as a team. It's also the kind of thing where if you're a supervisor, you can see what somebody's working on and not have to directly ask them. You can also go back and look at your completed tasks, and that can help a little bit with reporting. If you don't remember every little detail of minutia of what you did in the last quarter, it helps to kind of go back your completed tasks and be like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. I remember doing that. I remember doing that. I would not suggest this, and I'm going to say it later, to use it as your main reporting device. You should still use your normal procedures, but it does help. It's just like another safety net that we can put in place. And the more safety nets that we can have with reporting, the better. So why Microsoft Planner? Because it's convenient and I'm busy. So I am not really, I like investigating and I like tinkering around to a certain extent, but I've also got a lot of stuff to do and I'm not going to do this on my free time. So I really want something that is already integrated into Microsoft 365, you know? So it's convenient. I'm busy. I figured out how to use it. And now that I know how to use it, it's really, really fast. And one of the things that I'm going to show you later on is I'm going to do like a mock meeting and how I would take notes as I'm hearing somebody talk to me, and then converting it into a little bit prettier afterwards. So that's really honestly the reason. Another reason that I really like about this is for me, what I want, because I want things to be done and I want things to be quick and I want to not forget things, is can I add things quickly and is it low maintenance? So what this tutorial is geared towards is for people like that, people who have a lot of things on their plate, who want to have something that's just like simple and easy to update, easy to maintain, not a whole lot to it. That's the people that I'm really, really hoping to reach with this webinar. So, however, I'm going to shout out Jordan from our team, Jordan Johnson, who you've probably seen on previous Workforce Wednesday webinars. He's a very organized person. He is somebody who I think that organization for me is a means to an end. And for him, it's his native language. It's incredible. I love watching it. So watching him use Planner, he uses all the bells and whistles. It's very prescriptive in how it's done. It looks beautiful. It looks organized. I'm somebody who is keep it simple, stupid. You know, I want something that is I'm not going to use all the bells and whistles. I'm going to use the minimal amount that I have to in order to get everything on there that I need. It's going to look messy. It's going to look disastrous, but it's really in the end for me. So you can adapt it to whatever you need. This presentation is probably going to be about an hour long, and that might feel a little bit overwhelming of like, oh my God, there's so many different parts that I have to memorize in order to use this thing. It's really not. And I'll try to, by the end of this presentation, show you how I use it, because how I use it is very much in the KISS scenario than use all the bells and whistles. So again, this presentation is more meant for the people who've got a lot on their plate, who want something that's like quick and easy and fast and get this done and not forget so much. Because I am that kind of person. So I'm going to empathize a little bit more with that. So again, what I'm going to be doing today is section one. I'm going to be talking at you a lot. We're going to go through some slides. I'm going to try to go through pretty quickly though, because section 2 is a live demo of what we do together. And I think that that's going to be a little bit more helpful than me just showing you screenshots of what I'm looking at. It'll be a little bit more organic so you can see how I use it, how I get in there and all that kind of stuff. And you can also ask me questions. I love questions. Please ask me questions. In section 1, I'll talk about setup, like how to get the planner set up to begin with, because that's usually the worst part. That is the worst part. Luckily, you only have to do it once. But every single time, I feel like every tutorial I watch, they don't have enough information about setup, and I hate it. All the moving parts, all the little pieces that you can use to help keep you organized, how to use it as a team if you want to work on a team project together, and then reporting. So without further ado, section 1, I talk at you. All right, so you can access Planner 2 different ways. You can either go through the browser, like just your Safari, Microsoft Edge, or Chrome, or whatever you use, and just go to Microsoft 365 and use it that way online. I would prefer the Teams app because most of us already have the Teams app. And the thing about the online browser version is that, sorry, I'm going to take a bit of water. The thing about the Teams app is that it's kind of open constantly, so you don't have to worry. I've had trouble with the browser sometimes having to keep in mind that I need to refresh it every once in a while, because if I leave the window open too long, it seems to kind of disconnect. So I will think that I've put a bunch of things on there, and then I'll go back to it, and it turns out that I somehow disconnected from it, and I lose a bunch of stuff that I was working on. So me personally, I would recommend that you use the version in the Teams app. There used to be one that was just a straight up app that you could use and it was wonderful, but now it's integrated into Teams, which is kind of nice on its own anyway. But so you can access it 2 different ways again. You can do it through your browser or you can do it through Teams. I much prefer Teams. So that is what I'm going to spend the bulk of my time showing you. But that's again personal preference. If it works better for you the other way, it's basically the same stuff. It's just accessed differently. So in order to find it in your browser, you go to Microsoft365.com and you click the apps on the left-hand side. I hope you can see my cursor right here. And then click all apps, which is over here, this little like blue thing. Yeah, I don't know. Cursor went away, whatever. This little blue thing right here, all apps. Going to click that. Scroll down until you see the planner and then click it. Then on Teams, well, if you click it, it's going to automatically appear. Sorry, I should have explained that a little bit better. If you click it, it's going to automatically appear within your apps on the home screen. So the way that you've got like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, all that kind of stuff appear, it'll appear as well. But so I don't know. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I do prefer the app. So we're going to move on to that one. In Teams, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the bottom at apps and then type in right here, this little search bar, planner, and you're going to see planner right here. And you'll see this little like purple icon thingy, unless they change it in like 6 months, in which case, if you're watching this video in 6 months and it's a different color, I apologize. I tried my best. But you click that and you click open. And what that does is it's going to add it to this little scroll bar right here. So you see like you've got your activity, your chat is what's behind this little arrow thing, Teams, assignments, calendar, calls, OneDrive, and then planner down here. So anytime that you open Teams, you're just going to have this here by default, but that's how you add it in the first place. Right here, you see this says open. That's because I've already added it. What you'll be seeing is add, kind of like the way that you see the Paloma tour route, whatever thing add, it's going to say add. So that will add it over here. And now that I've got it already added, it would just open that little tab. So that's most of the setup. Once you've got Planner added to Teams, take a moment to look at your plans. These are my plans that I've got currently pinned. You've got my day, my tasks, my plans, which is just different ways to look at Planner. I'll go through these a little bit more in detail later. And then you've got your little pinned plans right here. So these are the ones that I use most often. You'll see my day, my task, pinned yet. Sorry. I personal preference, like to create as few plans as possible because I don't like to me, the benefit of Planner is that I can see everything all in one place, everything that I need to get done, so that I don't prioritize one thing and realize that I should have been prioritizing something else and miss a deadline. So again, that is personal preference. You're going to get a lot of personal preference in this webinar. I like to have as few plans as possible. Some people, especially if you're working collaboratively, like to have one plan per project. That is really personal preference. I prefer that. I also prefer it because in our company, the plans have to be deleted by an administrator, which is just one more thing that I would have to be annoying Amy about. I would like to just have one plan. So for me, what I have, this one, Antonio's board, I'm not going to show that because I don't really want that public for any, it's not, there's nothing bad on it, but it's mine. It's my plan. That one has everything. I have everything lined up. And I also want to show you how I tend to organize stuff just to keep everything straight. And you can take that or leave it. Do whatever you want. To create a new plan, you're going to see, so if you saw this full bar right here, underneath right here, there's a section that says new plan. So you click new plan, and it'll get you to this, create a basic plan from scratch. It gives you the options of selecting pre-made templates or the basic plan. I honestly haven't really investigated the pre-made templates much, so they might be fantastic, but I don't want them. I want a basic plan. So I just choose basic plan. Again, that is personal preference. But I really want to keep things as simple as possible. So basic plan, you name your plan, add to my pin plans, which is that little section right there, right underneath all of the other ones, like on this thing. These are the plans that you're going to use the most. And that will automatically add your test plan to it. And then you should be good to go. You just click create and you've got a new plan. Any questions? You can either put them in the chat, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you, or whatever's most comfortable for you. I'll go over this a little bit better later on too. It's easier for me to show you than for me to just talk about it. This is mostly so that you can refer to the slides afterwards and the recording afterwards. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to move on. All the moving parts. So once you've got it, take a look at your plan. We're going to go through all the little bitty bits that are involved so that it feels a little bit less overwhelming. But really, after a while, you kind of figure out your rhythm and you go nose blind to the things that you don't use. So it looks a little bit crazy at first, but once you get used to it and you figure out how you think and how you function, everything, all of this is meant to be in service to you. What do you need to have a good work environment? What do you need to flourish? What do you need to remember what you need to remember to show up for what you need to show up for? Okay. So the basic parts are at the very top of this Teams thing. This is something that might cause a little bit of confusion. There's the search bar. That is to search all of Teams, not just Planner. If you just want to search Planner, you're going to see filter by keyword over here. So filter by keyword, they didn't used to have this setting, and it was very annoying because I kept trying to find stuff and I had to just remember where I put it, and I'm not good at remembering anything. So filter by keyword is something that they added recently. Amazing improvement to Planner. Had I thought about sending them an email, I would have taken credit for this, but I did not send them an email, so somebody else clearly thought about this and not me. But that is how you search Planner individually. So the big one up top is for all of Teams. That one is for Planner. All right. And then we've got our buckets. Things are divided kind of by bucket or by task. The buckets are the columns. The tasks are the little Post-it notes. So we've got, by default, the first one that it's going to give you is called to do. But you can change that. You can make it however you want to. And then add new bucket is right next to it. Add new bucket is how you add a new column to your different things. So everything kind of goes by columns, and then you've got little Post-it notes in the columns. You can make filters or group by bucket if it gets a little bit too big. I try to keep everything as like minimal and pared down as I possibly can, because the point of this for me is, again, for it to be very usable and for me to be able to find stuff very easily. But if you get to a point where the planner gets a little bit overwhelming, you can create filters and group by bucket. Those are your settings and permissions. How to, if you ever have a question about how to do something, you've got your little question mark right there, which is the help button. If you want to add people to your plan, editing permissions is a little lock icon. And then over here, you've got different views that you can see Planner. So you've got the grid view, which basically puts everything in a list. And then you've got board view, which is this sort of like vision board situation where you've got the columns and you've got the little post-it notes. I prefer board view because it helps my brain a little bit easier. Grid will kind of arrange things. You can it's like an Excel sheet. You can filter everything around according if you want to see like your most recent tasks or if you want to. So for me, that's a good tool if I'm trying to find something. You can pin stuff. You can put like more settings into it. For me, it's a very overwhelming way to see this. And the whole point of for me using Planner is that visual board view of everything up there where I need it to be. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on board view, but I will show you how it works because I don't find it particularly useful. I prefer board view again. Schedule is just a different way of viewing it. It's your tasks. There's a little section for you to put a due date. And if you put a due date, then it'll arrange everything on a schedule. So you can see what's coming up, what tasks are coming up. Again, that's a great reference tool. It's not typically what I use super often because I don't tend to put, I feel like I have a lot of tasks that don't have a very set deadline. It's just kind of like more of an internal priority list of me choosing which task I need to work on next based on how important it is. So I don't use schedule much, but it's there if you want to use it, especially if you're working with a team. My planners tend to be very much for me to keep myself organized and really for nobody else. But if you're working on a team, it's probably better for you to use the schedule. So it's just a different view. And then charts is how you do reporting. It really, the only reporting that it offers is how many tasks you've completed. I'll show you in a little bit. So I won't go into a horrific amount of detail there. So again, things are kind of arranged in board view by tasks and buckets. Tasks are the little post-it, buckets are the columns. And I'll go into a little bit more detail in section 2. And when I move through these pretty quickly, it's a little bit easier for me to show you than for me to talk about it. So working with Planner as a team. In that little thing right here on the top right-hand corner, the little icon with the person and the little plus sign, that is how you add people to your plan. By default, everybody from your company will probably be added to a plan. I'm not sure exactly how it works. We're housed out of a university, so the university has kind of already set all this stuff up for us. So I would imagine that other people who are also based out of a university would be pretty similar, that your company is on there by default. So they will be able to see everything that you do. Do keep that in mind, that people from your company will be able to see everything that's on your planner. I'm not sure how that works outside of our specific situation with the university, but I would imagine it's pretty similar. But if you want to add more people to your plan, that's how you add them. And then once you click that little button, you can create a group. We don't have, again, based out of university, so this screenshot is what I see, that we don't have admin permissions to create new groups. They create the groups for us, or maybe it's Amy, my supervisor, who does that. I'm not exactly sure. But in theory, if you weren't working out of a university, you would be able to create a group from here that can edit and view your planner. For us, by default, it's just everybody from Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support, ICSPS. So again, beware that everybody who is added to this group, so for the ICSPS people, can all see what you've put on your planner. This is nice because if your supervisor needs to know what you're working on for their own reports or just out of curiosity, they can see kind of how it's organized. But you also want to be careful not to add too much, I guess, personal information or maybe something that's not quite appropriate. Be responsible with what you put on there. Don't put things on there that you don't want other people to see, okay? Moving on. For tasks, the little post-it notes, and again, I will go through this because again, it's much easier for me to show you than for me to talk about it. But you can assign people to individual tasks and they can edit that kind of stuff as they're going through. I will say that whenever they do get assigned to something, the moment that you assign them, it will send them an email. So just be aware of that. And if you haven't discussed it as a team, I would say don't be rude. Talk to your team about how you assign tasks. If somebody just gets a random email, the email will literally say, so-and-so has assigned you a task. If you haven't talked about that before, that could come across a little bit passive-aggressive or aggressive. So if you've already talked about it as a team, and you talked about like future tasks that you're going to be doing, that's not going to be a surprise when they get that email. Or if it's just the company culture that you've established, that you've communicated about, that you can just assign people stuff like this, that's fine. But do I just as a person have a conversation with whoever you're assigning a task to. Don't just throw stuff on them unless you've already established that as the way that you're going to function and everybody's okay with that. So just with everything, be aware that when you assign a task to somebody, and I will say this again, um, it's going to send them an email. So don't be rude. Have a conversation ahead of time. They're going to send them an email. Once users are assigned a task, they'll be able to edit the task and show their progress and leave notes for you so that you can all kind of work together. Um, Once users are assigned a task, all users in the organization have the capacity, well, by default, all users in your organization can edit your planner. So anybody that you've either added through that little person with the plus sign over there on the top right-hand corner, or if by default it's set up so that everybody in your company can see their planner and edit your planner, be aware that everybody can edit your planner and that you can edit other people's planners. So please communicate to your team, especially if you're a supervisor, not to edit tasks on other people's planners without their permission. If they've been assigned to a task, that they just make sure that nobody is messing with anybody else's planner. So because that could be a potential point in which you could have some friction. So make sure that you have these conversations. Don't just assign things to people, talk to them first. And also, if you're in somebody else's planner, please be respectful. Don't touch anything. Leave things the way that they want them. Don't try to organize things for them. That could be a very underhanded way of messing up someone's day. So a couple of disclaimers. I think planner's great, but those are some things that you have to keep in mind. All right, reporting. There are a couple of ways that you can run reports or use Planner for reports. The project manager can check on what you're working on to include in their reports or gauge capacity for new work. So your supervisor can see what you're working on and see if you have time to add other work to your plate. I'm assuming that they would talk to you about it as well, just in case there's stuff on your planner that you haven't put on there. Or they can see what you're working on to just quickly, if somebody asks them above the chain, what's this person working on? You can be like, oh, this based on the planner. So that's kind of nice. And then the reporting feature can show your progress towards a goal. Again, that is the view. I'll go through it again, but in those top little tabs where it said like the list view, the board view, the charts view, the schedule view, the charts view can show you progress towards a goal, like how much stuff have you completed. So for me, it's not particularly helpful. It's more motivational of like, wow, we started here and now we're here. And I don't know. So it's there. It's there if you want to use it. I don't find it particularly helpful. And this isn't sponsored by Microsoft, so I can say that. And then completed tasks. That's really what I do find very useful. Completed tasks at the very bottom, which I'll show you, can keep track of everything that you've already crossed out. So again, I'm pretty forgetful, which is why I use task managers in order to make sure that I stay on top of stuff. I forget what I've worked on. So it's nice whenever we're doing quarterly reports to just take a quick glance through completed tasks to make sure that I didn't miss anything in my reports. Again, this is the chart view. So you can see kind of we have 7 tasks left. Like for me, again, it's more motivational than actually helpful. But if it works for you, great. Happy for you. Please don't let me spoil your day. And then using completed tasks. Again, this is in board view. So it's that like vision board situation. At the very bottom of each column or the buckets, you'll see a little thing right here that says completed tasks. And you can click that like to expand that little arrow, the caret thing, and you'll see everything that you've already completed down here. So it doesn't delete anything. I will say I've had a little bit of trouble so I used to use the browser version through Safari, and I had a little bit of trouble with it transferring completed tasks over to the Teams app. So I would suggest sticking to one or the other because it doesn't seem to communicate super well. It might have also been a thing. They did a bit of an update recently, so it might just be a me thing that I was there because I mean I was collateral damage because I was a part of an update. But I would recommend that you just stick to one because that makes me a little bit nervous. But the completed tasks are great. Because of that, though, I would say make sure that you have other things in place. Don't get rid of your current reporting systems for Planner. I don't think that this is a substitution for other reporting devices. I think it can just be an assistive tool. I'll look at that. Clearly, I thought that when I was creating this slide, because that's exactly what I was going to say next. But yeah, plan to use it more as a backup. Don't rely on it. I think that there's some kinks that still need to be worked out. Questions? You can use the Q&A. You can use the chat. I'm going to take a drink of water. All right. So we've arrived at section 2, which is us doing a live demo together. What I will be showing you, and again, please use the Q&A and chat and tell me to stop and raise your hand and all that kind of stuff. Because I do want this to be as interactive as possible. I can make this just a live tutorial, but I can also make this interactive. And if you're here, I would love to make good use of your time and answer any specific questions that you might have. Because I've gone kind of nose blind to a bunch of things because I've been using this for a minute. So I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. All right. So what I want to demo is add a planner, show all the different views that you can get, create a bucket, create a task, rearrange tasks, show completed tasks, show filters, show search, all that kind of stuff. This is more for me to remember what to show you. And then how do I use it? Me specifically as a person, how do I use this for me? And you can adapt it to however you want, but just so you know, full transparency, who I am very much somebody who likes things to be easy and simple and easy to update and keep it simple, stupid, All right, sorry, let me exit out of this and then unshare my screen. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go into Planner. All right, so I'm going to move my little slides over here so that I can keep track of where I was supposed to be at. So this is what my planner currently looks like. I'm going to pretend that I didn't already have it, but I'm going to go through how to add it in the first place. I'm not going to show the browser version because it is pretty similar and I feel like you can look back on the slides. Let me actually also rearrange my screen a little bit so that I can see everybody's questions and answer them as quickly as possible. Because we're going to be going through this. It's going to be kind of a lot. But once you get in there and mess around with stuff, it's really not that bad. So in Teams, over here, you've got your left-hand bar and you go to Apps. In Apps, right here in this search bar, you can just put Planner. You got this little icon, see Planner right here. Over here, it would normally say Add. It already says Open because I've already got it over here. So it would say Add. Add is what's going to add it over here to your little scroll of your most used apps. So once you've got it added, you're going to go to Planner over here. And it's obviously going to look a little bit different because it'll be your planner. But I've already created this test planner that we're going to mess around with for a little bit, which is why it doesn't sound like actual work. I promise that mine looks a little bit more serious than this. But you can see right here, you've got my day, which is tasks arranged by day. If you've scheduled them out, I tend to not schedule things so much because I like it to be a little bit nebulous. But if you're a kind of person who really wants this like a scheduled when all of these things need to be due, it's a great function. My tasks, same thing. My plans, my tasks. Well, what these functions are really, really good for is if you are somebody who likes to use a lot of different planners and likes to make a separate planner per project, then it's good to see across different planners what all you've set for yourself. But for me, I like to keep all of my stuff into one planner. So me showing you that is not going to be as helpful as somebody else who uses a bunch of different planners. But I just thought that I'd let you know. But for me, I have everything on Antonio's board, which is really how I function better. So in order to create a new plan, you've got these options down here. You're going to see new plan down here. Click that. And then again, this is what I was telling you. They've got a bunch of different stuff. You've got project management, software development, business plan, employee onboarding, simple plan, that kind of stuff. I don't want the bells and whistles. I really don't. If you're a bells and whistles kind of person, happy for you. Do whatever you want. But I want basic. I don't want anything else added to it. I just want like a basic plan. type the name of the plan, just whatever, and then add to my pin tasks if you want it to appear over here and easily accessible. And then you can add to a group, optional. Like these are our groups that are available. This will add it to, so if you go to Teams over here, you'll be able to see a tab up top. I'm not going to click it because I don't really want to be blasting what we've got on Teams on a recording, so just personal preference. But if you're in a team, you're going to be able to see that there is um, a tab up at top, just sort of the way that you see like files, documents, that kind of thing. There's going to be a planner up top that you can access through that. So that's what this is really nice for, is to add it there. And then, especially, we've got teams for different projects. So everybody who's on the project can access the same planner through the tabs, and they don't have to go in through their little planners and all the like the pinned plans and all that kind of stuff. So it is a really nice little feature. I'm going to X out of this because I don't want to create another one because I'm already going to have my supervisor delete a bunch of these. So I want to keep it as minimal as possible. But my plans over here shows all the plans that you have available. And then these are just like the pinned ones that I use the most. I see that Michael Baker has added, can you integrate the Outlook calendar and tasks? Do you have to re-enter info into Planner? I am not exactly sure. I know that you can integrate it to Outlook because it sends you email reminders, but I think that they're pretty separate. I haven't played around with a lot of the interaction between Outlook and Planner. I would imagine that it probably could. I just haven't used it very much. From what I've seen, though, it does tend to keep pretty separate. The only thing that it does do for you is send you reminders when something's coming up. Like over here, I've got that this is due on the 30th. It'll send me an email reminder, and it'll send everybody assigned to this task an email reminder that something is coming up. But I'm sure that it is better integrated than I give it credit for, but I just haven't used it. So I'm just not exactly sure. Any other questions? I take a sip of water. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Amber has said that I know that flagged Outlook emails can appear as tasks in Planner. That's cool. Thank you so much, Amber. I didn't know that. I haven't really used it. I'm sorry, but thank you, Amber, for doing that. I guess I need to go through and integrate it a little bit better with Outlook. I don't know. Everybody uses it the way that they want to. Robert has said, I apologize if you already said this, but is there a log of who has viewed your planner, or if somebody made an edit, what they did? It gives you an alert that somebody has changed something with a planner. So when you log in for the first time and somebody else has made a change on your planner, it'll highlight the little tasks that were changed. It doesn't necessarily, or at least it didn't, tell you what they changed exactly. It mostly just highlights the little like tasks of every change that has been made, and it'll give you a little notification, I think, up here that says so and so made such, or so and so made 4 or 5 whatever changes to your planner. So I don't know that it does like a real like document editing tracking process the way that maybe Microsoft Word would. They might have changed that since then. I guess like the planner is something that they have. It's pretty recent, so they do make changes pretty often, but they haven't been like horrifically disruptive just yet. So the last time that I used it, that's what happened, is that it highlighted the little boxes of stuff that was changed, and it told me that so and so did so many changes, but it didn't tell me specifically what it was. Oh, yeah. So Amber has clarified that yes, you can add it to your Google calendar or your Outlook calendar. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll go through that, and just, if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out with me afterwards, because as soon as I log off this, I'm going to go investigate that. But yeah. All right, let me just get rid of these. Okay. So next, what I wanted to show you is the different views that you have available. We got grid view, which is again a little bit more of like an Excel situation. You've got all your different tasks right here, and then assignment, start date, due date, bucket, progress, priority, labels, that kind of stuff over here in kind of an Excel view. And then you've got board, which is the vision board sort of situation, which you can see you've got arranged by these little tasks, which are the notes, and then the buckets, which are the columns right here. And then if you scroll down, you'll see completed tasks. This is the only one that I've completed any tasks on, so this is the only one that's going to show them, but you can see down here, if you click completed tasks, you're going to be able to see things that I've already marked as completed. So if somebody does go into your planner and hits something by accident, it will still save them at the bottom. So if you find that you're missing a task or something, you might want to check the completed task every once in a while just to make sure that it wasn't clicked by accident. But again, the best situation is to have everybody on your team know that you're not supposed to mess with other people's planners. That could be pretty bad. But just in case there's a contingency, accidents happen. We've had situations before where somebody marks something as completed, and then just immediately they'll send the person an email being like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I hit completed on this one task. Can you make sure that it shows up on your end?" So just be respectful, be mindful of other people, that kind of situation. So let's go ahead and create a fake task. So it's easier to show you the different parts when we do that. So I'm going to add a task to work list. I'm going to call it whatever I want, and then add task, and then it'll appear right here. If I mark it as completed, like that, then you see the completed tasks appears down here. You get a nice little ding too. See down here, completed, you see completed tasks, you see that chat task, and you can open it up and unselect it, and it'll go right back to the top. So if somebody hits completed on a task that wasn't done, it's really no big deal. It's not like you can just undo it pretty quickly. Once you open this up, you got a couple of different parts, and you can show whatever you want to show at the front by saying, like, in order to see things immediately as soon as you open up the board view, you click show on card. So if you add something down here, you see it's going to automatically select show on card over here. You can switch that over here as well. And what that's going to do, let me show you. If I have this as show on card, then when I open this board view up, I'm going to be able to see the notes in here. If I unselect that, then the notes are going to be gone. If I put checklist as show on card, then it's going to show the stuff on the checklist. And like you can see here, this one, it's arranged by checklist as well. So show on card, and you can see the little checklist. You can collapse that or add that depending on what you want to see. And that is pretty useful. You can also do it with attachments if you add an attachment. I will say that attachments used to be, you used to be able to add documents to attachments. You can no longer do that. It only allows you to attach links. So add link to a URL. But if you add a link on here, it'll show you a show on card thing too, so you can see it right at the front end too. And this is kind of nice when you've got a bunch of tasks that you know there are like smaller parts to that you want to be able to see right at a first glance. And also if it becomes too overwhelming to look at, you can also just collapse them down. So it's meant to be flexible to whatever you need. So let's go part by part. Up here is the title of the plan. You can change that to whatever you want. Over here is the assign. So you can assign it to people within your organization. So if I was going to assign it to, it's by email, Kirsten Bayer from our team, I can assign it to her. I'm not going to be clicking that because, again, it sends them an email, which if I haven't talked to her ahead of time, she's going to be like, what is this? So don't hit assign until you're ready to send someone an email. But that's where you add it. You can add labels. It has a bunch of different colors here, and by default, they're all marked by their color. You can, however, hitting this little pencil thing, edit the label. So you can call this, I guess, I don't know. If it would allow me, that would be great. Whatever you want it to be, and change all of these labels to whatever you want them to say. If it would allow me again, I'm not sure why it's glitching like that. But then you can just kind of add labels however you need the different things. And again, if you were to go into, say, the grid view, you would be able to see the labels. Yeah. All right, so that's how you add labels. That's how you edit labels. I'm going to remove these. I don't want them. Over here, this is another way for you to change the buckets that it's in. You can do that by simply dragging and dropping as well. So just drag and drop and move it to a different bucket. But if you've got a lot of buckets and it takes a long time for you to like physically drag it away, this is a much simpler way to just kind of move it. I'm going to move this to Chinese buffet because why not? And then you can see that it got moved over to Chinese buffet. And I'll move it back to work list. It's back on work list. The next section, progress started, in progress, completed. And then completed will knock it off of your to-do list. So just be aware of that. It'll go away, but you can see it in completed tasks again. If you want to undo that, it'll go back to uncompleted. Priority, urgent, important, medium, low. Start date. When are we getting started with this? Due date. Again, when is it due? Repeat. You can set up repetitions of the same task if you've got an ongoing task that needs to happen. Like you want to remind yourself to update the website when you've got a new webinar. Weekly, you can set that up here so that that task recurs every week. Pretty cool function. Notes down here. I use this a lot to copy and paste. So really, really messily, if I have some information from an email that I want to just dump on here and take care of later, I'll usually just copy and paste the information here, put a little checklist down here that says clean up notes. And then I know to go back in here. Well, let me put show on card so I can see these. I can see immediately from looking at this from board view that that on the card I need to clean up these notes. So then I will go back afterwards once I've already I have a little second to clean up my planner a little bit. I'll come back and I'll clean up whatever's in here and maybe transfer it to a more set checklist. So it's really nice for me to quickly dump a bunch of information in notes, and that's typically how I use it. Like if I'm in a meeting or if I got a bunch of information through an email, I will just really, really, really messily put it all in notes and put a little reminder for myself to clean up notes here. And once I see that, or you can put a label right here, say maybe change that one to clean up notes. If it would let me, that is so weird. Why is it? All right. Sorry, my computer's being weird. In theory, there we go. All right. You can also make like a little tab if you want to. So instead of putting it down here in checklist, you can just put cleanup notes here, and then you can see everything in dark purple is what you need to go back and clean up. So really it's, again, adaptable to whatever you need. All right. So you've got your notes right here. If you want to show them on card, again, that's right here. You got your checklist right here. It lets you add a maximum of 20 items onto the checklist, and then you'll need to start a new checklist. Sometimes that can be annoying if there's a lot of moving parts. So just keep that in mind, that there's a maximum of 20 items that you can put on the checklist. And then again, if you want to show them on card or not show them on card, there we are. And then attachment, again, doesn't let you attach documents, only lets you attach links. I don't know why it used to be the other way around, but it's okay. But if you want to attach a link, pretty helpful, especially if you're doing resources, something that people are supposed to be checking on every once in a while. It's a pretty good tool. So I'm going to go into this one, ears. That's a little bit more, I've filled everything out. So you can see that it's got a due date. I didn't put in a start time. It's got priority urgent, in progress, because I wanted to be able to show you schedule. You can see right here on schedule that it shows ears right here. So again, you can arrange everything. And apparently, thanks to Amber, you can integrate it with Outlook. But that's what this view looks like, and that's what schedule is really good for. On schedule view, you can also see your work list over here of unscheduled tasks. So this is just a different view if it's useful to you. This is really not, I try to keep everything as sparse as possible. So I don't put a whole lot of deadlines on things because I want something that has a deadline to really, really stand out to me and for me to see it immediately on a very empty calendar. But that is just how my brain works. You can use it however you want. And then charts, again, you can see how many tasks you've got left, how many tasks you've got completed. Again, it's pretty motivational, not really super helpful to me, but you've got your unassigned work lists over here. So that is basically, back to board view, how you create a task. Again, you can kind of drag and drop everything according to where you need it. So I've got this column right here. It's called rabbit. So I'm just going to keep stuff that pertain to rabbits here. So calming piano versions of pop ballads. That's not really a rabbit thing. That's something that you would maybe find more at a Chinese buffet. Rosemary Clooney, not really a rabbit. We can take care of that later. Orange chicken, more Chinese buffet. So we're going to move it over to Chinese buffet. Soft serve ice cream, again, Chinese buffet. Billie Eilish, not really rabbit, but we're beginning to see that there are two famous people on here. So maybe we need to create a new bucket. But claws, ouchie, definitely does go in rabbit. So we can stay with that there. Down here, I'm going to go to completed tasks and see questionable sushi, even though it's not Japanese. I realized that I checked that for no reason. So I'm going to uncheck it so that I can see it up here and then move it over here to Chinese buffet because that's where it belongs really nice and neat. But now we've got Rosemary Clooney and Billie Eilish over here that don't really pertain to this very well. So what we're going to want to do is we went through how to create a task, but we might want to create a different bucket. So you scroll all the way to the right and click Add New Bucket. And here we're going to put geniuses. And to geniuses, I'm going to click in here. Since this has gotten kind of long and I don't want to physically drag it, we can change Rosemary Clooney to geniuses and Billie Eilish to geniuses as well, because that is where they belong. There we go. Geniuses, Rosemary Clooney, and Billie Eilish. All right. We've got an attendee says DCO allows you to link all documents on Teams or on our shared drive. I'm not sure that I understand the question, but you can, like, I think what this person is asking is where to put that, which would be kind of in attachments here. If you copied a link to a document on Teams, you can put that link to Teams right here and add link to URL. Did that answer that question? Oh, awesome, 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 awesome. That seems to have answered the question. So yes, if you want to put a link to a document within Teams, a really nice, clean way to put that would be attachments. You could also put it in notes if you want to. You can put hyperlinks in here and they are clickable. You cannot, however, put links in checklist and have them be clickable. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. Any other questions about that? So attachment or notes is a good place to put a link to a document within Teams. Any other questions? Kind of went through a lot of information. Anything that people want me to demo again? It seems like no, but again, interrupt me. Happy, happy, happy to have interruptions. Thank you so much for all this engagement. It's actually been really fun. Makes it a lot less like I'm just talking to myself. Oh, Beth Gonzalez. If you have two pinned items and want to move one under the other, can you? Yes. You should just be able to drag and drop them. I'm going to get rid of these questions. Any other questions before I move on? If not, again, you can just ask them. Okay. So we reviewed how to add a task. Again, add task. You can do that in any column. You can rearrange your stuff however you want. Just drag and drop it. That kind of situation. It's pretty flexible. You can move stuff around to different columns. You can move stuff around to different columns based on the bucket. All right. So I'm actually going to remove these over here and complete a bunch of these tasks so that they go away because I want to show you now how I tend to organize myself. And again, you can do whatever you want. This is just in case it's helpful. All right. And then again, add new bucket is over here. So now I'm going to move into a little bit of more practical section, which is how do I use this? And again, this is how I use this. You can do however you want, whatever works best for you. We really want things to be adaptable to how you work best. How I use this is that I tend to keep, and if you want to delete a column, sorry, interrupting myself. If you want to delete a column, you can see up here, the three little dots, more options. Delete, move right, move left. I'm going to delete the ones that I don't want. because these were just for fun. And I will say, when you delete a column, it will not. Um, I haven't been able to find a way to do the way that it has completed tasks down here for columns. So if you delete a column, I could be wrong. And again, if somebody does a quick Google and wants to correct me, please feel free to. But I haven't found a way to re-find those columns once you complete the columns. So do that carefully. You know, we don't want to lose information that you don't want to lose. Typically, what I'll do is if I still need to hold on to a column, but I don't want it to bug me, is I'll just move it all the way to the right. So if like this one is not particularly useful to me, I'm just going to move it all the way to the right and I can just kind of ignore it and keep the ones that I use more frequently to the left because when you open it, it opens it up to the left anyway. So before you hit delete a column, make sure that you want that information gone. All right. So the way that I organize myself, you do whatever you want, but I like to have actually, I'm going to move this back over here. The first column that I like to have is my work list, which is just kind of random tasks. Like if I need to fill out my timesheet or change a little quick something on the website or something like that, I tend to put it on work list. It's just kind of a general to-do list. I then usually have a to monitor one, which is things that I keep things here that you want to, this is in the wrong place. Keep things here that fall easily off your radar. There's a lot of little bitty tasks that are pretty easy to forget once you get into it. And I like to have a column that is just kind of a like one task, recurring task situation. I want to see a checklist here of like add new Workforce Wednesday webinars to website situation. And I keep show on cards so that I can see it immediately. That way, I've got my big work list right here of like things that need to get done like pretty quickly or things that I just want that are general that don't necessarily have a bucket to fit in. But then I've got my to monitor here so that I don't forget that I need to, every time that I see a new Workforce Wednesday webinar, add it to a website or stuff like that. So that's been really helpful to me. I then usually have a column of resources. Usually for me, resources is all the way, like it'll be my last column before the ones that I don't need anymore. So geniuses, I don't really need, but for some reason I want to keep the completed tasks. So I don't want it to go away. So I'm not going to hit delete, but I'm going to move it all the way there. And resources kind of for me is my mental, like this is the last actual useful work or bucket for me. But I like to have like, if there's an article that I really wanted to read, or there's like, for example, we do a lot of Open Meetings Act stuff. So I like to have our quick reference guide to the Open Meetings Act right here in resources. If there are like, we have a set template of wording of how any product that ICSPS makes needs to have this specific word block. I have that information right there just so that I can find it really easily. I have like little things that maybe somebody like my supervisor has said that I want to not forget of like cadences of certain things that I know that I'm not going to use super often, but I don't want them to go away, but I don't want them to be in my way. I tend to have little like post-it notes of a bunch of little things that maybe somebody has said to me that I know I'm going to forget because it's like 6 months between the times that I have to do that stuff. But it's nice to just kind of have a resource. So that's how I use resources, things that you want to read up on, things that you want to kind of, I don't know. I think oh, my bad. I actually tend to put stuff that my supervisor tells me or things that I want to reference in to reference. And then resources is more stuff that I kind of want to look at after. I don't know. I've changed up how I tend to do things. So I seem to have split up to reference and resources, but you can do whatever you want. For me, that's really helpful. I like having somewhere where just the random bits of information that somebody has given me lives and I can check up on it and read up on it. And usually if I see it often enough too, it'll commit to memory a little bit easier. And I like this setup. So that's generally how I will organize myself is I'll have a work list, which is up front to monitor, which is number two. And then I will usually add other buckets. Like, for example, I work on the work-based learning and apprenticeship committee. I have a work-based learning and apprenticeship committee, and then I have a different column for each work group of all the stuff that needs to be done in those things. So any questions? This is just kind of how I think, but you can do whatever you want. Again, I tend to be somebody who puts a lot of information on here, like on my planner, and it's very messy because I need it to be like quick and it's really just for me. I don't think many people in my organization look at what my planner has. There's nothing on there that's incriminating, so if people look into it, I really do not care. But I don't know. That's just how I work. If you look at Jordan Johnson from our team, his is very, very beautiful and like all the bells and whistles and very organized in a different way. And to me, that's the beauty of this is that it's very, very flexible. Again, any questions before we move on? The last section is just kind of be me showing you how I would take notes during a meeting. Okay, I'm going to move on. So for me, say that I'm on a meeting. I am going to add a new bucket, call it, I don't know, Wobla, the Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship Committee. I'm going to move this to where I want it because I want it right after my to monitor because I've got my work list to monitor all the committees and projects that I'm on, and then my reference materials, which are back here, and then things that I don't really need anymore, which are all the way at the very end. So say that I'm in a meeting for the Work-Based Learning and Apprenticeship Committee. I'm going to add a task. I'm going to do meeting 12925, check in. And this will be just for random things that get assigned to me during a check-in meeting. So while everybody's talking, I'm taking notes. I'll do like, I don't know, AG said blah, 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 JF said blah, 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 complete, put it in all caps, complete registration for, yep. Oh, thank you so much. We had a comment in the Q&A that as I'm doing this, people are doing this in their planner. That's what I really want you to do. Like this is, I want you to kind of mess around with things because I want you to find where you get stuck and tell me about it. So thank you. I'm very happy to see that people are going through their planner live. This is really, really, really what I wanted. It's great for people who are watching the recording afterwards, but really, really the people that I want to get to are you guys who are here right now. Okay, complete registration for whatever, really just make it very, very messy, whatever I need it to be. And then I will put like for the label cleanup notes here and then X out, move on to the next thing that I'm working on. I don't know, maybe tomorrow I have a different meeting, 25, check in. And then you add your little notes right here, the cleanup notes, mark that completed, and just go on and on and on and on. And I can see from these tabs right here, like very quickly as I like, we'll go into apps and then back into planner. Um, this planner is dead, so I'm not really worried about showing it to you. But I'll go immediately to my test plan, and the first thing that I can see is these little purple things right here, which means that I need to do some cleanup. So I'll open it up, see right here, somebody assigned me to email so and then fix whatever, and I don't know, update, who knows, and that kind of situation. And then once I'm done with that, I'll just delete my notes and I'll make sure that this shows on cards so that I can see it a little bit more cleaned up. If I need to reference a document, again, like Teams document, I'll add an attachment down here. If I need more information, like if there's something, there's a character limit on these checklists. So let me run into it so you can see what that looks like. Eventually, it'll just stop typing. So if I've got a bit of information in the checklist that's a bit too long, I'll tend to put right here more info in notes just so that I can see that right here. Since this shows up on the card, I can see that there's more info in notes right off the bat. So I know to come here and check like frequently what I've got in the notes is a copy and pasted bit of information that somebody sent me in an email. So it looks messy, it looks disgusting, but at least it's like a really easy way for me to like somebody sends me something, ton of information. I just copy and paste it, drop it in the notes, save more info in notes. And as I'm working on the task, I apologize. Um, I can see more information in the notes. Like for me, this it's meant to be ugly. So my notes for me is where I put all the ugly stuff and then I clean it up in the checklist. And then again, you can change all the settings to like which bucket you want it to be in. Progress, in progress, completed, not started, priority. We'll say that it's super urgent. Start time, due date, repeat. We got a question in the Q&A that says, can you delete a private plan yourself or does someone else need to delete it for you? In our organization, I don't really know how it functions outside of this. In our organization, a supervisor has to delete a plan. So as soon as this is done, I have to go through and ask Amy to delete my little test plan right here. But it was worth it for this tutorial. You're worth it. But that's for us. I think normally you can delete your own plan. I think. I hope. It kind of depends on how permissions have been set up by your organization. Does that answer the question? Is there anything that anybody wants to ask out loud? Because I can go ahead and unmute people if they want to raise their hand. Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right. Oh, yeah. No, thank you, Judy. Have a wonderful day. All right. She's just saying that she has to head up to another meeting, which is great because I'm honestly just about done. This is how I generally will use it for meetings. Again, I will put a little tab for myself that I need to clean it up later on. Once I'm done cleaning it up, I will just get rid of it. Again, if you want to assign people, you can click assign here and then they can edit things that we need to add over here or check off things that they've already completed. I tend to try to ask people in the notes like AG completed X and then a date, just so that we can kind of keep track of these things. But it keeps track of these things on their own. I'm just paranoid, you know, and I want to be able to see it easily. So that's pretty much it. The last thing that I would want to show is reporting. Once again, this chart view for me is not horrifically useful because it is just, I mean, I guess it can show you how much progress you've gone towards a goal and you can put it in a PowerPoint if you want to seem fancy. But for me, the real helpful part is going through completed tasks. Oh, yes. So an anonymous attendee has put in a note that says, if you want to assign staff, you need to make sure that you set up a checklist for each item to mark as completed. Otherwise, when one person marks it as completed, the entire task is marked as completed. Yes, yes. Couldn't agree more. If you're assigning something to somebody else, I would recommend that you assign the full task up here and then individual little tasks that they need to complete in the checklist. That way, when they hit complete, it doesn't complete the whole task. It just completes the individual thing that they've marked as completed. I definitely agree with that. Yes. Keep the name of the little post-it notes of the tasks to the actual assignment and the individual tasks within that project in the checklist. All right. So again, from reporting, don't get rid of your current reporting system because this is not really, maybe it will be in like a year or so. But this is not really something that I would rely on for my reporting. Again, it is very nice to see your completed tasks so that you can remember things that you might have forgotten that you already did and when you completed them. But yeah, that is basically FYI, you can print. Oh, yes. Um, Somebody is saying online, you cannot print your planner from the Teams version, but you can from 365 from the browser version. Yes, that is correct. If you want to print something off of your planner, you can't do it through Teams. But if you were to go through and access it through Microsoft 365 on the browser through the apps, the way that we showed at the beginning, you can hit print page. And then in print page, I can actually show you that. Give me a second. Let me unshare my screen. Just opening Microsoft 365 here. All right, I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay, so if you're going through apps, and then apparently I don't have this here, so all apps, planner, scroll down to planner. Here we go. It opens up planner. And then I'm going to reopen up the test plan. So if I wanted to print this off, then you're going to go to, and I'm sorry, I might not show you this, but at your top screen, you're going to go File and then Print. Or you can also just hit Control P. And then over here, I have a Mac. So sorry if you have Windows, but it's actually easier on Windows. But if you have a Mac, you can switch this down here where it says PDF. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Cancel. You can hit the little caret down here and then save as PDF right here. Hopefully everybody can see that. But save as PDF. And then I'm just going to put it in downloads. And it shows me a PDF of the planner that I can then print. But yeah, that's how you do that. Yes. And then somebody else has posted, if you have tasks assigned in multiple planners, you can see them all in the My Tasks view. So let me put that I answered live. I'm not going to hit My Tasks because then it's going to show my actual planner, and I don't really want to do that on a recorded webinar. But yes, that is correct. My Tasks is a really good view of being able to see things across different planners. All right, I'm going to reshare planner just in case anybody has any final questions. But really, that is all that I wanted to show you guys. So any final questions? You can also raise your hand if you want to be unmuted. Up to you. See, Laura has raised her hand. I'm going to allow you to talk. All right. Laura, what's your question?
Hello. I've used Planner for several different projects. And another thing is about this is that when you assign the tasks to multiple people, and put a due date on it, the system will send daily reminders of tasks that you have upcoming or are past due. And it sends that to you daily. So it's a great way of knowing, okay, I need to reprioritize my day because I need to get X task done or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that once if you assign it to multiple people, they all get that email that says this task is due or upcoming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is a really great way to I love Planner for working with a team. All right. Any other questions? Oh, thank you. So I've gotten a couple of thank yous in the Q&A. I really appreciate that. I'm glad this is helpful. And again, if you have any questions, I'll drop my email in the chat again. Well, I guess for the first time. That is my email. I'm happy to reach out and talk to you guys afterwards, especially with the Outlook integration stuff, because I clearly haven't used that very much, and now I'm about to go fidget with it. So we're about to learn some new stuff. Thank you very much, everybody. I think, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm just going to put my info back up on screen. Well, actually, I just put it in the chat, so I don't know that that's really necessary. I don't know, it's overly formal. Thank you very much, everybody. I had a lot of fun today. I love doing this kind of stuff. I love task managers because, again, I'm a very, very, very forgetful person, and I work on a lot of things at once. So I want to be able to remember where I put everything. So thank you very much for being here. Any final questions before we log off? All right. I'm not seeing any questions. I'm seeing a bunch of thank yous, which warm my heart. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar. Thank you very, very much. Again, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. We will have this, the slides and the recording up on the Illinois Workforce Academy within 48 hours. Have a wonderful day. I hope this was helpful. I know it's kind of changed my life in having a task manager and all this kind of stuff. So hope it's helpful to you too. Have a wonderful day.